Hey cats, EDDBUD here. Today it's another long run shoe test, this time for the ZOOMX Vaporfly Next 2. I've put my prototype edition through some real torture today in some quite inclement weather. Beast, roll the thing. We got about 12 miles today in the Next 2. It's about 19.31 kilometers if you want to get super exact. Pouring rain on the long run today. It did take a lot of mental fortitude to even get out there, in fairness. The poor old prototype edition of the Next 2 are nicely saturated, even now in fact, and the colourway certainly taken on a bit of a muddy hue. I think it all adds to the character of the shoe. What do you think, guys? An average pace of 7 minutes 22 seconds per mile today. It equates to about 4 minutes 35 per kilometre. I think the slowest of those miles was about 7 minutes 33 per mile, which is 4 minutes 42 per kilometre. There were 3 faster miles in there towards the end of my run today. I think I got down to about 6 minutes 54 per mile, which is 4 minutes 17 per kilometre. It was certainly a conscious decision to maintain that kind of tempo-paced effort for the first section of the run, and then on some more tired legs see what I was capable of. A test of pace, and I've got to be honest, it was quite exhilarating out there today. Wind, rain and AC/DC on the headphones. Those tunes kept me rocking and rolling, but I've got to be honest, long run initially I was just going to set out at some quite easy pace and just enjoy it really, but it ended up being an Angus Young sort of windmill on the floor. Kind of irresponsible really. I should have just run at a nice steady easy pace, but it's not really possible in these shoes. I don't feel like I want to run slowly in them at all. I got about 278 foot of elevation on today's run. If you're familiar with the channel, you've watched some of these long run reviews in the past, you'll know my typical route. It's predominantly on paths, roads and some gravel tracks as well. So how did Nike's new contender perform on the run today? Upper first. Still a bit damp. The new material here did exceptionally well in some very wet conditions today. Lots of standing water, lots of puddles to leap into, and it's actually held on to very little of the moisture despite my best efforts of sort of targeting every single puddle that I could. I found that the perceived increase in that toe box height in the front of the shoe here is certainly beneficial on some of the faster and quicker miles, and lockdown was really on point from start to finish. No change really in terms of the containment and the fit of the shoe across the top of the foot. No heel slip or discomfort whatsoever. In fact, my legs just feel brilliant right now. Feels like I've done a little 3-mile easy recovery run. In most Nike shoes, regular viewers will know I tend to go for an 11 UK, which is a US 12, though I found for longer distances going up a half size is actually quite beneficial, where your foot starts to swell a little bit, and I did find that today. These are an 11.5 UK, and I did benefit a little bit from that extra toe room. Those original Next percents I had in the UK 11 were certainly torturous on the old toes. I remember after the Salisbury half marathon looking at my foot and it was like, ah, it really wasn't a pretty sight, guys. So going up a half size does alleviate that problem with no trade-off whatsoever in terms of upper performance. Only a 25 gram increase in weight as well. I did measure them when I got in. I took them off at the front door to save any fury from Mrs. EDDBUD. Hello. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when we roll out those new videos. And it really does help the channel out if you give us a thumbs up like. It helps the algorithm on all that kind of jive. I'm not a number, I'm a free man. Midsole and ride, well, I was like a bee to nectar today in the Next percent. The underfoot feel of the midsole foam never fails to facilitate furious fun. The shoe itself, I believe, does favour faster cadence, and there's really nothing quite like it in terms of rebound, squish and stability. I ran a lot of miles in the 4% Flyknit, and the Next percent 2, or the original version of the Next percent, are by far and away a more stable shoe. And of course you have the added bonus of your legs feeling less fatigued over time. Certainly does feel like I've done a nice easy jaunt around the local area rather than a 12-mile effort today. I think we hit about 48 miles for the week, so quite happy with that. Getting back on point, getting back to the toppermost of the poppermost. And it was in my tempo effort zone as well today. Really should have been back in an aerobic zone, but hey, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. A man's gotta do what he's gotta do. Is that right? Quite why this specific utilisation of the midsole foam is capable of this, it's a bit of a mystery. I mean, the Pebax foam in this shoe feels very similar to that in the Saucony Endorphin line and some of Reebok's shoes as well. I've really enjoyed running in the Endorphin Pro and the Speed as well, along with the Run Fast 2 and 3 and the Run Fast Pro as well. I ran some quicker miles in the Endorphin Pro on Saturday. Quicker than today at least, though I did sort of 1 mile on, 1 mile off, that kind of thing. I find that the ZOOMX has certainly got a more airy sort of cushion to it. The Power Run PB in the Pro is certainly firmer and it's nowhere near as compressive. It certainly feels perhaps a smoother experience in the Pro once you get up to that sort of race pace and just sort of let things tick over. It felt nice and smooth in terms of the transition, but the Next Percent midsole, there's something magical about it. Maybe it's something to do with the quite aggressive attack angle here in the forefoot. I have to say I did enjoy it today, it felt really, really fun. Outsole discussions must be had. Aside from some paint wear here in the heel, there's not an awful lot of wear whatsoever. A little bit of wrinkling of the ZOOMX, I mean that's to be expected, it was extremely wet out there. No major worries here though, I'm seeing very similar wear to what I've seen on my original pair and also the Ekiden pair from last year. Or was that from the year before? No, it was last year. The rubber section here in the forefoot's okay, aside from a couple of small stones that got wedged in there. It was grippy enough today for me and freed me from any real anxiety on slippery surfaces. I could concentrate on one thing and that was rip-roaring pace. And big smiles, of course, courtesy of Angus and his pals. It does, I have to say, make me consider picking up another pair. In fact, I've got one in my basket right now, I've got to get rid of that. Mustn't do it. Must show some restraint. Control, control. You must learn control, Budzinski. Maybe I'll pick up another pair at some point in the near future. It seems a little easier to pick up a pair of the Next Percent these days. I'll keep on grinding down this pair. I don't want to just leave them in the box languishing there like some poor unoiled cog. They're just so fun to run in. I think when they present such a fatigue limiting option for training, it's hard really not to dip in and pick them out again. And they performed so well today in some, quite frankly, nasty weather. Seems like false economy really to just not utilise them when they do such a great job. Have you picked up a pair of the Next Percent too? Do you concur with my analysis? Let me know down in the comments. Oh gee, yeah. Gonna need to leave these to try out a little bit. Oh man, it's not good. A musical interlude for you. It seems impossible after today's run not to tell you about the album that I listened to practically the whole way round, the full 1 hour and a half earlier on, which was from AC/DC. It's their killer album, If You Want Blood, You've Got It. It's just all the best AC/DC tunes really from that early period. Bon Scott is really on form. Every time I felt maybe I should just edge the pace back a little bit, I could just remember Bon Scott's little smile where he's wearing those super tight blue jeans and no shirt and he was smiling saying, "Go on Budzinski, just push it a little bit harder, come on." And yeah, that was that. I particularly like the last 4 tracks on the album. They seem to edge up the power level slowly until they get to the last 4 and they're just absolute stonking tracks. Rock and Roll Damnation is just brilliant. I love the lyrics, I love the whole vibe. He's sort of talking and explaining about what it's like being on the road when you're playing rock and roll. Everyone thinks it's this kind of really lavish existence when actually it's really tough, you know, in the early days. Where he's pointing out somebody's got like a bottle of beer or something like that and he says he's got to work all night just to get a bottle of what you've got. I really love that. High Voltage is unhinged almost in terms of the power level. I think if anyone's into rock and roll and they don't like Let There Be Rock by AC/DC, then yeah, don't trust them guys, don't trust them. And then at the end when you feel you might be flagging a little bit, you've got Rocker, which is just mad. It's rock and roll from the 1950s, energised with 58 cans of Red Bull and a Mars bar. And put all that together and you've got Rocker, which is... It's got some of the best solos there from Angus. He just sounds like he's having such fun. You can just imagine him there, flying across the stage in his shorts. Even just thinking about this album, it's making me feel like I want to go out for another run. Right now, I could do that now if I put AC/DC on. No problem at all. Go and check it out. If You Want Blood, You've Got It by AC/DC. Okay, thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video today, guys. I very much appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications so you are notified of when we launch new videos. And it really helps the channel out if you give this video a thumbs up like and also share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you